Welcome back, focused learners. Get ready, because today's explainer is your absolute complete guide to one of the most badass architectural houseplants out there, the Dracaena Marginata, or as you probably know it, the Madagascar Dragon Tree. If you're looking to go from just a beginner to a totally confident horticulturalist, you're in exactly the right place. This plant is a literal survivor, and by the end of our time together today, you're gonna know exactly how to make it thrive in your own home. Here's how our complete guide is mapped out for you. First, we'll officially meet the dragon tree. Second, we cover essential light and water. Third, pruning, potting, and growth. Fourth, troubleshooting common problems. And finally, we'll wrap up with propagation and some pro tips. Let's get into it. Section 1. Meet the dragon tree, an introduction to your resilient new houseplant. You know, plant expert Marina Rimslow has this fantastic golden rule. She says, forget about it. Seriously, this plant thrives on neglect. I absolutely love this, right? Because it requires a little bit of tough love from us. If you're the type of plant parent who likes to hover or constantly water and fuss over your green friends, you really need to step back. Seriously, with the dragon tree, killing it with kindness is the ultimate sin. Just give it some space, ignore it a little bit, and I promise it's gonna reward you. So what exactly does that reward look like? Well, 10 plus. That's the number of years this gorgeous perennial can live indoors if you just follow the guidelines we're going over today. Think about that. Over a decade of vibrant, spiky architectural beauty right in your living room, just for giving it some benign neglect. All right, moving to section 2, essential light and water, mastering the core pillars of survival. Okay, here is the absolute most crucial metric to remember, 50%. If you take literally nothing else away from this complete guide today, please remember this one thing. You absolutely must let the top 50% of the dragon tree soil dry out completely before you water it again. Depending on your home setup, that usually takes a good 2 to 3 weeks. In the winter, you can even stretch that to 3 or 4 weeks. Honestly, when in doubt, just put the watering can down. Now, regarding the water itself, the dragon tree is incredibly sensitive to the fluoride and salts that are typically found in municipal tap water. If you've ever seen those ugly, brown, crispy leaf tips on a Dracaena, yeah, that is almost always a reaction to tap water. So filtered water, distilled water, or even rainwater is the vastly superior choice here to keep those striking leaves looking absolutely pristine. Let's switch gears and talk about light. Bright indirect light is the absolute sweet spot. A spot just a few feet away from an east or west-facing window is ideal. You really want to avoid harsh direct sunlight because it will physically scorch those beautiful leaves. Now sure, it'll tolerate low light. It's a survivor, remember? But bright indirect light is the real secret to maintaining those stunning, vibrant reddish-purple edges on its leaves. Lower light just means slower growth and faded colors. Rounding out the environment, here's your quick checklist for the ideal soil and climate. First, you need a fast-draining cactus or succulent mix. And, crucially, pots with drainage holes are non-negotiable. I mean it. Good drainage is your absolute best defense against the dreaded root rot, which is hands down the fastest way to kill this plant. Temperature-wise, keep it cozy, somewhere between 70 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit, and try to maintain an average household humidity of around 40 to 50%. Okay, section 3, pruning, potting, and growth. Moving from basic survival to making your plant actually thrive. I know, pruning terrifies a lot of houseplant owners, but honestly, pruning is your best friend here. If your dragon tree gets too tall or, what we call leggy, which is basically just a long bare stem with a few sad leaves at the very top, you simply give it a haircut. By making a nice clean cut through the cane right at your desired height, you actively stimulate the plant. It's going to push out 2 or more brand new branches right below that cut. It completely transforms a spindly stalk into a lush, bushier, multi-stemmed masterpiece. Next up, let's run through these repotting and feeding rules. Because the dragon tree is a pretty slow grower, it actually prefers to be slightly root-bound. So you really only need to repot every 2 to 3 years. And when you do finally repot, choose a container that's just 1 to 2 inches larger than the old one. If the new pot is too big, it holds excess soil and moisture, and boom, you get root rot. For feeding, just give it a balanced liquid fertilizer once a month during the spring and summer growing season, and always dilute it to half strength so you don't burn the roots. So why is all this maintenance so worth it? Well, the dragon tree is just a stunning interior design investment. It acts as this dramatic, architectural floor plant that fits seamlessly into minimalist decor. But it's not just a pretty face. It was actually featured in the famous NASA Clean Air Study because it actively removes harmful toxins like formaldehyde and xylene from your indoor air, which means you are literally improving your respiratory health just by having it sit in the corner of the room. How cool is that? Moving on to Section 4. Troubleshooting common problems. How to read your plant signals like a doctor. Consider this your ultimate diagnostic cheat sheet. Seriously, take a screenshot of this right now. If you're seeing brown, crispy edges, that's probably your tap water's fluoride, or maybe low humidity. The fix? Switch to filtered water and give the leaves a mist. What about yellowing leaves? Well, the plant is practically shouting that it's overwatered. Let that top 50% of the soil dry out, and if you ever feel a mushy brown stem, yeah, that's advanced root rot. You need to stop watering immediately. You might even have to chop the healthy tops off to propagate them just to save the plant. And of course, we can't forget about the creepy crawlies. Spotting common pests early is absolutely critical. Spider mites, they leave behind this really fine, delicate webbing, and they make the leaves look all stippled and speckled. Mealybugs, they look like little white, cottony masses hiding out deep in the crevices where the leaves actually meet the stem. And scale insects are super sneaky. They basically just look like immobile brown bumps stuck to your plant. If you spot any of these little invaders, isolate the plant immediately and wipe it down with a cotton swab dipped in rubbing alcohol or neem oil. Oh, and a quick pro tip for you, simply wiping the dust off your leaves with a damp cloth every month is a fantastic preventative measure. Finally, Section 5, Propagation and Pro Tips, Achieving Ultimate Dragon Tree Mastery. Now, the water propagation method is brilliantly simple. Hey, remember that piece we cut off when we were pruning our leggy plant earlier? Do not throw it away. First, make sure you have a 6 to 8 inch stem cutting and just strip those lower leaves right off. Second, submerge just the bottom few inches of that bare stem into a glass of water. Third, give it some bright, indirect light and change out the water every few days to keep it nice and fresh. Within a few weeks to a month, you're gonna see little roots sprouting. Finally, once those roots are about 1 to 2 inches long, plant it in some fresh soil. And just like that, you've turned a top-heavy, leggy plant into a whole new generation. All right, let's wrap up this complete guide with some rapid-fire pro tips. First, and absolutely most importantly, please pay attention to this toxicity warning. The dragon tree is highly toxic to cats and dogs if they ingest it. It causes vomiting, drooling, the whole shebang. So you must keep it well out of reach of your furry friends. Next, try rotating your plant a quarter turn every single time you water it. This ensures even light exposure, so it doesn't just awkwardly lean toward the window. Keep dusting those leaves with a damp cloth to aid photosynthesis. And lastly, keep it far away from cold drafts, below 60 degrees Fahrenheit. It's a tropical plant, guys. It likes to stay warm. Which brings us to our final thought for the day. The dragon tree cleans your air, it looks incredibly dramatic, and it beautifully thrives on pure neglect. It really begs the question, if stepping back and letting things be can result in something so vibrant and healthy, what other toxic habits can you prune from your indoor space? Think about that as you go set up your new dragon tree. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep thriving out there.